This is one of the rarest games in chess. That's because Magnus Carlsen did something that immediately disqualified him, and the opponent thankfully caught it. This is the most shocking Magnus Carlsen blunder. Now let's start from the beginning. This is the World Blitz Championship. 3 minutes on the clock, 2 seconds added per move. Sitting across from Magnus is Boris Savchenko. Magnus starts with pawn e4, and Savchenko answers with c5, the Sicilian defense. But Magnus plays a sneaky move order with knight e2, and a few moves later, these knights seem like they are the only active pieces. However, this is a blitz match, so let's get the opening out of the way. We reach move 15, and this pawn on b4 is in an awkward spot. The black queen and the knight are attacking it, but it's being defended by 3 pieces. Magnus moves one of the knights so he can focus on the queen. Savchenko thinks and decides the best defense is just a good attack. So he takes the pawn on e4 and attacks the queen with the knight. Magnus is forced to exchange because this knight would then fork both rooks. But Savchenko doesn't stop there. It places another attack on the knight, and Magnus has to defend it. Now that the other pieces are occupied, pawn a5 forces Magnus into a tough spot. If he takes, black can take with the knight, and then triple attack the c4 pawn. Magnus pushes the pawn forward, which allows the knight to pass through for a bit before it gets exchanged. But look at the board. The queen has to move, and now the rook has full access to the A column. And that freedom allows the rook to attack the pawn on c4. Magnus defends, but Savchenko just keeps attacking it. If you take in this position, it would be a huge blunder. This is a very important move, and Magnus would have found the right play normally, but he didn't have much time. That is why he stepped the knight back and allowed for the game to equalize. By move 30, both players are preparing to enter a really tough endgame. It's a blitz game, so they move kinda fast, but I want you to focus on this pawn here, the c4 pawn. It's a passed pawn, and Magnus does not want it to go further, and Savchenko doesn't want to exchange pieces easily because that would make the pawn easier to stop, and that would mean game over since he is a piece down. In a way, this endgame is a battle of who forces the better exchange. First, a pair of rooks get removed. This pawn now gets more support, but the bishop is not letting anything go through. Now the knight attacks. Both players play correctly, and Savchenko ends up with a pawn protected by the bishop. He is down in material, but this should be a draw. Savchenko slides his bishop back to e1, a quiet, harmless-looking little move. However, something insane happens. Magnus picks up his king. He puts it on d4, and he lets go. Look at the board. Bishop f2 is check. The king has to step off the diagonal, and sitting at the far end of that exact diagonal is the white rook on b6. It's a skewer. The rook is gone, and with it, the game. Magnus sees it the instant his fingers open, and he grabs the king back. But Savchenko saw it too, and he protests immediately. Because the rule in chess is brutal and simple. The moment you release a piece, the move is made. Even Savchenko was in a tough spot because if he didn't protest, Magnus would have gotten away with it. It seems like even Magnus did not realize he had let the piece go. Once he understood what he did, Magnus immediately resigned. But here's the kicker. At the end of the tournament, Magnus finished third, exactly 1 point behind Levon Aronian, the man who took his title. 1 point could have given Magnus another tournament win. That is how much one released piece can cost you.